When?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Apeksha, and I am from the Librarians of India. Welcome, everyone, today to a very, very special evening. This is being done in conjunction with Bachpan Manao and, of course, Pratham Books and Story Weaver, whom all of us know so much. And this wonderful evening is to celebrate World Book Day. This special session will be looking at wordless picture books, which is a real treat. We call it reading pictures. We have a wonderful panel lined up for you, but you will also notice that we have some very special people in the room today. These are your ISL interpreters. We have Manisha, and we also have Saurabh, who are from the Indian Sign Language Association, who you will see signing throughout the entire session. I'm now going to hand over to Kritika, who will be introducing the panel at the start of the evening with a wonderful start. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Apeksha. Good evening, everyone. I am going to introduce today's panel one by one as we move through the day. So first, I have with me none other than Priya Muthukumar. Priya Muthukumar is a learner, educator, and a passionate storyteller. She is the founder of the 12-year-old company Storypur, who's based out of Bangalore. She's been telling stories everywhere, in parks, literature festivals, corporate offices, schools, colleges, anywhere she can get to. She's also a translator who's working in the Tamil English children's literature space with around a dozen books to her credit. She has closely worked with teachers, facilitators, and educators in coaching them in storytelling, working with about 1,000 plus educators from different schools. Welcome, Priya, and we are very excited for you to take us through a wordless book. Priya, you're on mute.
That was a great start indeed. So, hi, hello, everyone. I'm really honored to be here with all of you. Thanks, Librarians of India, PB Story Weaver, and of course, Bachpan Manao. And I'm really excited to listen to what the others panelists have got to say. But without further ado, I would also like to jump into the story. Well, the small assignment which has been given to me is to show or demonstrate how I would read aloud from a wordless picture book. Well, this is not a formula, this is not set on stone, this is not a rule, but this is something which works for me and I would love to share it with you. Okay, so let's get started. Now, there are different scenarios. One, I could be telling a wordless, storybook, wordless picture book, probably as a librarian with my group of children. That could be scenario one. Or I could be a mom, or I could be a dad, a parent, doing this story as a bedtime storytelling. Scenario two. Third, I could be a teacher, a language teacher in a classroom, and I have a certain goal, I have a certain theme to work on, and within that period, I need to use this book. So, how am I going to work then? Or I could be a storyteller, just like me, chock a block. My day is full of storytelling sessions, and I play with different elements. Then, how am I going to use this book? Well, for convenience sake, I'm going to choose the scenario of a librarian. Let's imagine that I'm the librarian here And all of you who are listening to me are the children. Yeah. Now, for this, I will need all your support and your interaction. I know we are not sitting, together, no face-to-face interaction, but let's make the most out of this experience. Whenever I ask you questions during the storytelling, during the read aloud, please type in your answers as soon as possible. I might not be able to see your answers, but that's fine. I know that we are together on the same page. Is that clear? Let's have a thumbs up whether you got my instruction. Go. Right. Meanwhile, let me get started. Thank you so much. Let me get started with this lovely book, Ikru's First Day of School. No text, only visuals. Remmare, 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 re. Remmare, 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 re. Okay, my dear children, so the name of the story is Ikru's First Day of School. Let's see who's written this story and who's drawn the pictures. Sunena Kolo has drawn and written the story. Okay, so let's see who could be Ikru in this now. Let's all look at the cover page. Who could be Ikru? Could it be that girl who's watering that plant? Could it be the boy who's running? Who do you think could be? Understood. The boy in the center, the kid in the middle. I can see all those answers popping up, and that makes me feel so good. Yes, but is he happy or sad? How is he feeling, you think? I feel he's a little confused, a little excited, a little scared, a little sad, maybe. And as the name of the story goes, it's his first day of school. Do you remember your first day of school? Oh, I was just crying and throwing tantrums. Remmare, 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 re. Now that we've seen the cover page, let's see. Yeah, just like Manjyotsna says, confused also the boy looks. Let's go on a picture walk. Let's just look at the pictures. Okay, this page, I see, our friend Ikru, same dress. So it has to be the same boy. Ikru is walking on the street. Looks like it's morning. That lady, could it be his aunt or sister? Should be mother. Okay. And I think they're going somewhere. First day of school. So where do you think they could be going? School, obviously, right? Let's look at the next picture right below. Oh, looks like they've reached the school. That ma'am looks so good, right? So pretty she looks. And she looks very kind too. She's trying to say something. Probably welcoming. Let's move on to the next picture. Next picture. This picture walk sounds interesting, right? Seems interesting. That's the school. Mama is waving by. Looks like Mama has to go to work. Ikru is still looking, double-minded, confused, apprehensive, doesn't know. There's one child who's very happy. Oh, look at the child who's crying over there. I used to be just like that. I told you, right? Let's see what's happening in the next picture. Remmare, remmare. Oh, Ikru is just standing. But I see someone bright yellow, bright as sunshine. She's helping Ikru. That's nice. Move on to the third picture. I think they're becoming friends. That's nice. Oh, she's taking Ikru to I think that's a garden, right? They're climbing the tree. Suddenly, what happens to Ikru? Ikru starts to cry. Okay, let's move on. I think Ikru is reminded of his mother. It happens, right? Moms are always special. Oh, but where is that girl now? There comes someone else now. A boy in blue t-shirt. Oh, looks like they are becoming friends now. And what's that they're talking about? Ant, hot air balloon, parachute, talking lizard? I think they're sharing some silly, funny stories. Maybe. What do you think? Come on, let me know. Let's see what's happening below. I think someone is ringing the bell. Oh, it's the same ma'am, the same teacher. The bell. Does it sound like the bell we have in our school? It's a different one, right? Okay, let's see what's happening. They're again going inside. Remmare, 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 re. Next picture. Remmare, remmare. Oh, this is one of my favorite pictures. Okay, what do you think they are doing, children? Which class is going on? Which period? What do you think? Come on, let's see. We too have this. Quick answers. They seem to be happy. Are they having music and movement? Are they singing a song? Some rain song? Looks like that. Do you know of a rain song? Which is the rain song that you know? Little drops are falling down, falling down, falling down. Little drops are falling down, falling on the ground. Maybe they are singing that song. I don't know. Or probably some other song. But wait. There's someone who's thinking of a bus and crying. Is he thinking of a bus or does he want a bus song? Do you know a bus song? Come on now, this is very easy. Think of a bus song that you know of quickly. I think he wants to sing that song. Na 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 na. Maybe that song. Oh, art and craft. We all love art and craft. Colors. Wow, they are having a lot of fun. Oh, someone has drawn a dragon picture. Interesting. Okay, let's move on to the next one. How many different classes they have, right? Okay, now, my dear friends, those who are listening to me, I'm going to stop it right over here. Okay, right over here. We'll freeze. Now, what I did till now, it's called as a picture walk. I didn't add much to the story at all. We just observed the picture. We were trying to understand the pulse of the story. And by now, many of them would have got the hang of the story, what's going to happen in the story. Okay, so this is something called as a picture book where we browse through the book. We take in the visuals, the visual imagery. So step 1, we focused on the cover page. Step 2, picture walk. Step 3, when we do the telling, third time we reread the book. This is called as collaborative storytelling. It is not going to be my telling. It will be our telling. I hold the book, I show them the pictures, and slowly I add one by one different details which they are going to give me. My role as a facilitator is only to streamline. Okay, I'll just make sure that we don't go too far away, but we stick to the core of the story. Let's try this once again briefly. We'll go to the first picture, Kritika. First page, I mean. Yes, got it. So I'm going to quickly finish this. Yeah, so let's say this is our first page. No, the first page after the cover page. Yes. So now, as a facilitator, what would I say? Once upon a time, there was a little boy. What do you think his name was? Ikru. Okay. Where do you think Ikru was going? Ikru was going to school. That was his first day of school. He was scared. He was apprehensive. He was anxious. But his teacher made him feel so good. Okay. And then the teacher held his hand and took him into the school. Ikru looked at his friends. Someone was crying. Someone was playing all by itself. They went into the classroom. Just go to the next one. And then after that, I will close. Yeah. Do you see Mama waving bye? Where do you think Mama was going? And then I will get some answers. Some will say no office. Someone will say no market. So then I add those inputs. The next one. Yes. And there came a little girl whose name was Manya. Manya said, hey, why are you standing over there? Come, give me your bag. And she took Ikru's bag and she hung it over there. And she held his hand and said, come, I have a nice place to show you. It's the garden. There are so many trees over there. Do you like the mango tree? And Manya made him climb on top of the mango tree. He started to cry. Why did he start to cry? Because he was reminded of his mother. Now, do you see the difference? I will stop it right over here. In step 2, when we did a picture walk, there was not much of, adding to the flow or kind of steering it. But when we did the collaborative storytelling, our story gets a certain structure, a certain flow, and it will not be from one person alone, which is the teacher or the storyteller or the facilitator. It will be from multiple inputs from everyone else. So with this, I will stop here. We will continue this towards the end, where I will be sharing more inputs and how we can look at several pedagogical possibilities in this kind of work when we work with books like this. Yes, Kritika?
Thank you so much, Priya. And thank you, Saurav and Manisha. Okay, we thank you. I think that was a beautiful storytelling of one of my favorite wordless books. Talking about wordless books, we have my favorite and fantastic Kanato Jimo here today, who's an illustrator and an art director at Pratham Books. Kanato has illustrated several books like The Very Wiggly Tooth, Bobo and Worms, and has written and illustrated Asamo Is That You with Oginnayam, and Snip, which is a wordless book for emergent readers. He won the Mary Go By Best Children's Illustrator Award for his book Afo and I last year in 2024. Kanato says his stories are inspired by the everyday life and are accompanied by very detailed and vivid illustration. Kanato, welcome to this webinar, and we look forward to hearing from you. I cannot see Kanato. Yes, hi.
Hi, everyone. Very happy to be here. Thank you, all the organizers. And I'll just take a brief, very short time going through picture book, wordless picture book making, me as an illustrator, and also working with artists and illustrators as an art director. So just a moment. So first of all, as you all know, you have seen how one of the books we read, it was a wordless book. And one thing we know, as the word itself suggests, a wordless picture book. So it is without words, without text, and it's just pictures that tells the story. So basically, that's the definition of what a wordless picture book is. And we at Pratham Books, we have created a lot of picture books, and we also make sure that we make a wordless picture book, at least one in a year or two. And we always have a lot of fun making picture books. And in most cases, when we make wordless books, picture books, it is author, the creator is the author illustrator. So usually we approach illustrators who write the story also and then illustrate as well. So these are some of the books, Ikru's First Day School, that you've already listened to. Then we also have Snip, which I illustrated, then My Street, Plasto, The Theater of Ghosts. These are really wonderful wordless books. Then we also have Circles in the Park, My Yellow Umbrella, which came out last year. Duga is a wonderful comic style wordless book. My Little Red String, This Is Where We Live. Then we also have new books like Toy Toy Feels Shy and When the Sun Sets. These are wonderful new wordless books. There are also almost wordless books like There You Are, Bow Wow Meow, because they just have one word in the book. They're not really wordless book, but almost. So Kabaddi also is, this new book is like just the word Kabaddi is in the book. So these are books that that we have been working on. And for me creating a wordless book and also collaborating with illustrators to create this wordless book, it's just so much fun. And these are some books, as you have seen, that some of the books that I have worked with and also have worked with other illustrators to create. When we look at a wordless book, an illustrator does not have text, and everything has to be shown in images, right? So when we look at, for example, when we look at this image, there's just so much happening, and you look at the characters, you look at what they are doing, and you also get to interpret what is happening, which means every reader, every person who is reading the book has their own story. And I think that is the beauty of wordless book, where you read it and you get your own story. And I think that's a wonderful reading experience when it comes to wordless books, because you do not have a text that tells you what the book is saying, but you are following the images, and maybe you just pick someone and that person is your main character, while as for some other reader it could be someone else. And I think that's the beauty of this experiencing a book, right, with images. We have another image here. So when we're creating wordless books, you are also looking at the form, you're also looking at how the book will open and what colors can be used to create that impact and all those things. So when we look at this image, they could be tiny and the colors are minimal, but then you also see a lot of characters. And when you look properly, you see somebody selling fish, there is a milkman, there's post office, there's somebody in the scooter. And so there's lots of interesting things going on. And this magic is created by illustrators who put a lot of effort, right? Bring a lot of elements in to make every page interesting. This is not from a wordless book, but as I was telling you, it's from a book called Kabaddi. And when we look at this book, we can already feel the tension of the player trying to reach the line, right? And I think this is the magic of picture books in general, but also when we do wordless books, being able to use the whole page, you being able to use the color, being
I'm
able
so
to
sorry.
use.
I'm so sorry, Kanato. Can you just give us 2 seconds? My partner interpreter, I think, logged out, is unable to get in. Just 1 second, I need to give her the contact. Just
Sure, sure.
yes, done.
Okay.
We can carry.
Thank you so much.
All right, so yeah, we were talking about Kabaddi. So when we look at this page, yeah, there is the tension that we can create with the perspective also, right? And it almost feels like this character is reaching out towards us, right? And I think this is when we have wonderful illustrators being able to create that tension, being able to bring the story alive through the illustration, and also, of course, through their skill and their command over whatever medium and whatever colors they are using. We also have another example of a spread from a picture book from Toi Toi Feels Shy. And when a reader reads this, you get a sense of like what a classroom looks like and what happens. Like there are people fighting with the rulers, somebody's not paying attention, looking out the window. So this is when you pay attention, right? So I think a wordless book without text also gives you the space to observe and to take things in. And yeah, and I think that's the magic of a wordless book. This is one of my favorite wordless books. It's called Flotsam. And this takes you through this wonderful journey of photographs, inside photographs, and into different worlds. And so if you can note it down and read this later. Then there's also another book, one of my favorites is The Arrival by Sean Tan. And it's a rather big book, and it's complex, but the way the story unfolds and the way panels are used, the way colors are used and composition is used, it's just wonderful to experience this book. So if you have not read it, I highly recommend that you look at it as well. So one thing, I have 3 points when it comes to wordless book, and I think the first one is wordless books invite readers to see, as I was telling earlier. And this is what Shontan says: all we need to do as creators and readers sitting together in the imaginary guest room is look at things and wonder about them openly. And I think sometimes we tend to forget that a book gives us this space to wonder and to observe and to take in. And a wordless book, picture book, gives us that space because you are forced to look at the images and see what is going on. One beautiful example is from our book Duga, and this is about a dog named Duga, and its journey of its journey. I will not give away a lot, but there is this one point in the book where it meets an accident, and the way the illustrator uses colors to show it, I think it's wonderful. And before this, it was full color. Everything was vividly illustrated. But as soon as the accident happens, the illustrator uses this very black uh, lines and inks, and the way it progresses. So when you look at this, there's a hint of red to show that it was injured, but then it's just black. And as the dog slowly gets better, the illustrator slowly starts adding color to the pages, right? And this is just a wonderful way of using colors. All okay? Okay, let me continue. So I think this is all right. So this is a wonderful use of colors and wonderful use of space. And this also allows us to really see. And we had this book read somewhere in Assam in a library, and the readers, they just immediately got this. They were just happily showing us this is the where it goes black and white. This is where Duga meets an accident. And I think that's how the use of colors, the use of space helps us see, right? And we also have another beautiful book. If you have not checked it, please check it out. It's called When the Sun Sets by Oginayam, and he uses colors, he uses space to talk about where the sun goes when it sets, right? And it's wordless, so you are looking at the images and trying to figure out what's happening, right? And a lot of adults thought this book was like, what is going on? But when Ogin read was in Nagaland last February, and he was reading to the children, they just immediately got it. For example, here you see that the creature, the multicolored creature there, the children just got it like what it was, and they also came up with wonderful ideas and like names for all of this. And I think this is where you create the space for the reader to also interpret and also create this new world of their own, right? And I think that's what wordless books gives space for. The next is wordless books allows creators to connect. When it comes to picture books, we use image, not just text. When text is removed, we remove this whole one aspect of difficulty or complexity of understanding and comprehension, right? And so you have now this image to look at and be impacted by. So Priya Korean, one of our favorite illustrators, this is what she says: the feeling that a picture evokes is immediate. That gut impact, the pleasure, sometimes words can't create that impact, right? And I think this helps us, like we now do not have text in between, and we just have this image to create that impact. And I get a lot of comments about this page where you have two, from my book snip, where you have two kids. They've had their bad haircut, and this, everyone empathizes with them in this page, right? And so for me as a creator, just being able to create these moments where you draw in your reader to be able to relate with the characters, I think that's what a wordless book. If there was a text to it, maybe I feel like, for me, I feel it would have taken away the impact. And so I think that impact that a wordless book can create, and the reader being able to interpret it and make it their own, I think that is the beauty of a wordless picture book. And I will go to the next one. And the other one is the last, and also not any less important. It is it enables us to empower. I think it gives this space of accessibility. It gives this space for people for those who can read, who cannot read, who are afraid to read, or who are reluctant to read, or who are afraid of text. I think it takes away all of this stuff, and then just gives you a book where you can just take it in and experience it. And I think this is something that a wordless book, a wordless picture book really does, right? So, and when we say wordless picture book, it does not have to be, they're not simple. A lot of wordless picture books that I read, it's just complex. There's so many things going in. And it also gives this, because there are no text, most of the time illustrators have this freedom to add a lot of layers to it, right? A lot of Easter eggs, and maybe there's a parallel story going and all these things put together, it just makes for a wonderful experience for the reader as well as the creator when creating it, right? And so this, I feel all of this put together makes a wordless book just a wonderful experience. Me as a creator and also as an art director who works with illustrators creating this, and also once the book is done, when it goes out, sending out the book with the belief and hope that every reader will take away and will interpret the story in a totally different way, in their own way, and make it their own. And I think that is all summed up together what a wordless picture book is for me. And thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful session throughout.
Thank
Kritika.
you, Kanata. Thank you so much. I love the amount of joy that was there in every frame, and there is a lot of comments if you want to go through about what you presented. So thank you so much for that. And I can assure you that everybody leaves with a beautiful experience that is their own after reading wordless books. That's what we have been hearing from people on the ground. Thank you so much. Okay, we will take a quick 10-second break while we spotlight our next speakers. So the next panel is going to be in the format of a prompt-based questioning and answer. So our panelists are going to share their experiences to prompts that we throw at them. And we have two wonderful panelists joining us. Let me just spotlight them. Yes. Awesome. Okay. All right. So for this panel, we have with us Rosmin and Saleh. Welcome to both of you. Let me introduce you one by one. So we have with us Rosmin, who has been a teacher, librarian, and resource curator for PYP years at JBCN International School in Mumbai for over a decade. Through her reading and stories, she teaches and supports critical thinking and creative thinking skills in children. She also collaboratively works with department heads and teachers to plan and prepare and develop and implement curriculum and to teach and to try new teaching strategies. Welcome, Rosmin. We have with Rosmin Saleh Selvam, who is a writer, educator, and feminist activist. Saleh has been consistently working in the area of children's literature and education, while also conducting feministic action. Her investment in children's education and feminist politics has shaped Saleh's career as a writer. She has written and translated over 75 books for children, and she has also been working on a number of boards and committees within the Tamil Nadu State Education Department, the Sarva Siksha Abhiyan, research organizations, and many more. She also executes the Tamil Nadu government's initiatives such as the Textbook Collective and the Youth Literary Program and the Readers Movement to enable a cultivation of literary interests and reading habits. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. Let me start us off with Saleh. Can you hear us, Saleh?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Saleh, let's start off with your experience with wordless picture books. How have you been using them and what has it been like?
actually, is that okay? Shall I start with my personal experience, how
Sure.
I am introduced and how I get into the picture book, especially
Absolutely.
yeah.
We would love to hear.
So yeah, I grown up or in the school in 70s, 80s that where there was no books or there are books, there were books. So my amma was a teacher that she introduced me some books. She used to buy books for us because she wanted us to get into the reading culture or as a teacher she felt that something. So anyway, some books were around us, and especially I was attracted by some picture books because I was not very cute like my sister who read novels on her class 5 and 6, but I stuck with the books with pictures or the children books like Mama and other books. So after that, I started my career with women that we were doing something I mean women readings, and we were running a magazine on all that. But anyway, I was a kind of a person become conscious about the reading with women because we started women reading forums, and we were sitting and reading things, and automatically we women around surrounded by children. So maybe I shifted thing myself from there to children, or the other way that I naturally my daughter when she started growing up, I started a children library at home, and both together she's growing library is also there. So I found various books for library as well as my daughter. We both always reading books. So that time I found the books of two interesting books. One is that the second books from the ship that I got interesting various books like this that no when my daughter read all these things it was so sometime I used to get the feeling of that I love books of children or she's getting into the reading thing. So I always confused. So I used to go and buy books like this, and we always sit. So the books I read, wordless books like this from NBT. NBT there were very many books.
Sarah, can you
So
hold it up a little more so that
sorry,
your
sorry.
book is not visible? So can
Oh,
you hold it a bit up? Book
okay.
మాత్రం కొంచెం తూకినా పోదు.
Is that okay? Is that like this?
కొంచెం కూడా తూకికోంగ సాలై.
Okay, then I come.
Sure, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So, but I'm audible, no? It's
Yes,
not a
Salai,
problem. Yeah.
everything's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. So anyway, books like this are attracted by my daughter or myself. That I was not sure because I was mostly attracted when we buy no toys that we play first. Same like when I buy books, I sit and I started reading. I always attracted by the colors or the drawings or the story or whatever it is that I always attracted. So I touch something. So that time I found books, various books like a touch and feel book. So touch and feel books are very interesting. Just to uh, to understand the kind of books, there are different cloths, cotton, woolen. So those books, and same like it's a soft, thick. So those books were very interesting that I found, and and I felt that I am also reading book with my daughter, and we bought books. So later I found that there is a book as a teacher, that we can give the child even more earlier, because we started when she was 3 years, but even before that we could have started books for children, those kind of books. So the books with board, books with picture, books without words. It's a very interesting and inspiring. Also, the book with colors. So that's the thing that maybe this experience started myself into the writing to the children.
Thank
So
you so much, Saleh. I will take a pause here and what
and and
Rosmi.
yeah, and so one thing I could say,
Yes.
this children book, this reading book or pictureless book is not just for children. I found for adult also. Actually, I translated this for us, this for our office, that's Asim Premji Foundation, on Savitribai Phule picture book for teachers. So that is also very important, that we always think that picture book or wordless book only for children. So there is also a pictureless books for adults also.
Wow.
So thank you, Kritika.
Thank you, Saleh. We'll come back to you. Rosmi, what has your experience been like? And what are some strategies you use with using wordless books with children?
So firstly, thank you so much for having me here, because what I've heard from all these amazing speakers here, it is so true. So a wordless book, I think it does a lot more just than tell stories. It's through the pictures you are enabling your learners to think critically. There is so much thinking involved. I think speak confidently. That's a very important aspect that's covered here, because oral language is focused on, and also coming to the multilingual and the support for diverse learners. So, and the most importantly, imagine endlessly. As as my fellow speakers said, that there is, you can imagine beyond boundaries, and there is no right or wrong. It's very open ended. So you can stand up and speak confidently without, having those text questions or a structured task in front of you where you're expected an answer. Here, whatever your perspective is going to be appreciated and shared. So there's also, you're very confident about building a community also when you're talking about a book. And there are, of course, there are fors and there are against, but each view is supported by evidence and a reason. So that, I think, is an outstanding feature of a wordless book. And I have seen it myself. So the strategy that I use is, I am a teacher librarian. So I kind of collaborate with the teachers, and I'm working with the units, the PYP units. And the first example that Ms. Priya gave, Ikru's first day of school, that book connects so beautifully with the PYP unit of who we are or how we express ourselves. There are so many emotions. So I think, this is also one of my favorite books, Amachi's Glasses. These books build in so much of empathy. There is so much emotion and visual literacy. I think it also supports a lot. Like my fellow speakers have spoken everything in detail. But how I would promote in my class is, I would just show them this book, and there are 4 different characters here with different expressions, different actions, and every child would have their own kind of interpretation of each of the action or emotion or expression over here. So yeah, I think it really helps build literacy, because it's helping the learner build a story structure just by visualizing the sequence. It really supports an observation skills. So sometimes what do I do? Like, I just take pictures from this book and I create like a task sheet, and then I give it to my learners, and they are expected to interpret what they see. Sometimes it's a scene. Sometimes it is a character trait. Sometimes we talk about setting. So you see, just one image or a sequence can support an overall comprehension, teaching strategy. You are building the story structure just through, I think, 4 images, which is outstanding.
Yeah.
It also supports inference and prediction. So there are times when I do not give the last picture and I ask them to predict. And the prediction can happen either orally, they're allowed to illustrate. So if I am, working on the unit, how we express ourselves, they can either predict the last scene or the end, or let's say the end climax, either orally by writing a narrative of that story, or else through illustrations. I've also had learners who've made a song. So,
Thank you
yes,
so much for that, Rosmin. That's beautiful how you
yes,
are connecting literacy to wordless books. We'll come back to you. Uh,
sure.
I think
Saleh, I want to ask you specifically, how do you think wordless book transcend language? Because in a wordless book, there is no language, right? And
Yeah,
even that, how do you help children to decode the cultural setting of the book? Every book will be set in different cultures. So,
yeah.
there is no language. So these two, if you can quickly touch upon, I
Yeah,
think that.
actually, Kritika, is that okay? First, we go how we produce, or as a writer, we do books, and then how children interpretation, or we straight away go to the
Go
children
into
thing.
the interpretation part, Saleh, for this, for the sake of time, because we are.
Okay, okay, okay. Because yeah, she also does the same. For example, this is a picture book. Um, uh, Picture book. Sorry, photo book. So we can ask children, or we can ask children to narrate what it is.
Saleh, கொஞ்சம் தூக்கி வச்சுக்கோங்க book. Perfect, yes.
So how children narrate this picture. So this may be one of the exercise that children can narrate the book. So for example, before that, what I used to do is that I asked children to narrate about her or his amma. So what she is, how she walks. Especially ask them to draw the picture of amma, that she does 3 walks at home or on her job place. So something we ask children to draw the picture of their own experience, as special with the picture we can ask them what it is, how. And also sometimes then we move with other story of, we show some picture of a woman who does something, and we ask them what she is doing, what what she all what she is doing there, and ask them to write a word from this picture, something we move on. So the child listening the picture, or child speaking something on picture book or from the picture, and connecting with the life, and also writing 1 or 2 words from it, that is also a kind of the exercise we do with children. For example, this is a book. This book they did with the stitches cloths. They stitch something, they stitch rain and made a book. So the rain, the rain that they see, and they can tell some experience of the rain where they they were, or so something like we move to the language from the picture, and this helps children to first visualize, and bringing the visualization to the words, which would be the helpful for them. So same like in the picture always, for example, sometimes they say this is a, because we are in the seashore, that they tell that this is a sea. Sometimes we show the picture which is not fair, that picture of fish, but they tell about this fish is in the middle of the sea, and the fisher bring it to here, or and we the women who sells all this think that children move from one picture of the fish. But as a creator, we have to give broader way. I mean, it's a big illustration, not that a big picture of one particular part or one particular thing or one particular illustration, but we have to give more ways of the things that they can do it. For example, they can write in a book. Their words can be written as a book, taken as a book, and they
I've
can
shared
think.
your PDF with the insert text one if you want to talk about it.
Okay, sorry.
Uh, You had,
Ah,
uh,
this text.
yes.
Yeah. For example, this book I created as a sky, but sky is not just sky. That sky also bring the earth also. So here, this book this is a book we created for children, but without text, I give them that I ask them to write their text on the picture. So something we give exercises to the children. So we give so when they can write here. So the whole book that without text, but we can ask children to write or we ask children to tell what it is and as a sequence story because we give a sequence of picture to narrate a sequence story for as a language part. So language part is sometimes I give one picture as to write one story. Sometimes we ask sequence of picture to write story. Sometimes I give sequence of story and draw a picture. So all these things helps children to develop their language thing in different ways. But sometimes that they can talk about their experience of playing somewhere, and the same thing if they started draw. It's very easy for them, but it's very tough for them. Generally, or in our culture, if we ask something to draw, they draw one flower or one hill with sun. So those things we are get used in our culture. So to break what is there in our culture, our culture, the classrooms are with always with text. So breaking the culture of text in the classroom, especially in primary classes, we have to bring different kind of photos or pictures or illustrations or various things as a visuals in the classroom. So visuals bring language easily which we should understand as a teacher or as a teacher educator, and
Yeah.
or the text with creativity. So these are the two things that
Yeah.
um,
Thank
uh,
you. Yeah.
adding with visualization. That
Thank you.
yeah.
I loved how you said that the visuals bring language. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Coming back to Rosmin, how do you think a wordless book brings together diverse learners? If you could focus on that and tell us about your experience with that.
Yes, of course. Like I said, a wordless book has the power to, enhance the confidence in a child where speaking is concerned. And because there is no language in the book, the child is absolutely confident. And I think as teachers, we must promote this that the child should be given that privilege and opportunity to express themselves in multiple ways or in any language of their choice when there is no language guidelines presented in your lesson. So if you talk about a particular scene, uh, so especially when we do this discussion, so I am doing this activity with my grade 3 learners next week. Our unit is how we express ourselves, and I am taking up as speaking as the first way of expressing. So we are going to do a storytelling, and I am going to give them a story starter, okay, an image and a line, and then we are going to create our own stories, and each one is free to use their language of making and building their story and continuing the story, and that's how we create. The same thing you can use such images to create such diverse tasks in your class. Like you could just show them two images. I think an image where grandma is sleeping, and then she wakes up, she doesn't see her spectacle, she thinks about her spectacle, and then she starts walking. And that's it. You leave it there, and then you ask your learners to now continue the narrative further and create a story once again. If my focus of my lesson is to teach something, I have to implement that in my instruction, whether I am looking for the problem in the story, whether I'm looking for sequencing. We can definitely focus on vocabulary through pictures. Oh my God, character traits. If I ask my grade 1 learner, by reading a book, reading a text that describe the character trait of, Amachi's granddaughter in the kitchen, and if it was surprised, or she was taken aback, or she looked very inquisitive, they would not understand or connect. But when they see here, and I would say, what do you think is the character trait of this character here? How do you think the character throughout the book, the character just has such expression? So what do you think? And they would think she is very inquisitive, she's very nervous, or she's very scared with grandma's reactions. They connect with every aspect of the story in a much more I think a more deeper way. And this is long term compared to just words. When they're visualizing, like ma'am showed a picture of sunset. So this we call symbolic thinking, that the color of the sky, that you don't need to tell them it's evening, it's afternoon, it's night. The symbolic thinking here helps them that the sky is gray, it's going to rain. No, it's orange, I think it's early morning or evening. Again, we can have multiple perspectives over there, but it's so beautiful that they're just comparing the visual to their imagination, and it's just giving wings to their, I think, thoughts and imaginations, which is beautiful. Also, visual sequencing is much more, I think, stronger and easier for a learner than when they're writing in words. The confusion where a child can get confused, the chances of getting confused are much less compared to when they are writing a story. And this I am talking about from my experience. When you give them pictures and you ask them to sequence a story just by giving them the photographs, the pictures, it will be like done in seconds and minutes, because the visualization is there. You can see the highs and lows through the visuals in a much better and a clearer way than through words. And I think that is a beautiful aspect of wordless books.
Absolutely.
Yes, sorry. Also, it enhances focus and concentration. Huh? If I ask my learner to sit with a book which is only with words, that learner will say, in 5 minutes, the learner will tell me, ma'am, finished. And then explain, it will be dreaming. But if I give this book to my learner, and even if it would be my grade 5 learner, the learner would literally, I am not lying or joking, but the learner would take a good 15-20 minutes in observing every picture. In spite of it being so simple, so day-to-day activities are here, but they would focus on every little thing, like a mosquito in her spoon, and she just has one tooth. There have been learners who observe such minute details. So focus and concentration works amazing with wordless books.
Thank you so much, Rosmin. And thank you, Saleh. Both of you have really shown us that pictures can talk to us in the most meaningful ways. Thank you so much. If you're around in the end, maybe we can open for some questions. But thank you so much for being with us today, Saleh and Rosmin. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here. It was our pleasure.
Thank you. We come to the last segment. We have back on Priya. Priya, are you here? Yes. Priya, who started us off beautifully with Ikru's first day at school, is going to help us with some best practices she uses when she's doing a wordless book with children. Over to you, Priya.
Okay. So, yeah, we meet again. And we started off with 3 steps, right? You remember? We started off with, taking a pause, observing the cover page, which is very important. And then we moved on to the next level, the next step of, picture walk. And the third one, the collaborative storytelling. Right now, few things which I want you all to remember, or what I follow, which works for me, is focus on the details. As Kanato has very rightly, showed what all goes when it comes to illustration. An illustrator or an author has not randomly thought of, let's stick to illustrations. It has been radically thought. It is a decision which has been well thought of. So there's a lot of hard work and details which go into it, right? For example, when I was growing up, I remember being a very dog person. Even when I read Asterix and Tintin, it was not Asterix or Obelix or the Gaul Village or Tintin who actually won my heart. It was Dogmatics who came in Asterix, and it was Snowy who came in Tintin. And if you remove the protagonist, if you remove Tintin off, if you remove Asterix off, if you remove all the characters off, and you're still following only these two dogs, they will have their own story track. That was how beautiful those illustrations were. This is exactly how these wordless picture books are right now. Every time you read, you'll actually find a new detail. That's something which I'm finding, and each one will interpret it in a different way. So there is this freedom of interpretation, no stress, no pressure. You are right, I am right, we're all different. That kind of thing is evoked when it comes to wordless picture books. So focus on the details, be patient, because when you read aloud a wordless picture book, the student engagement will be at the highest. Right? So you need to be patient. There are no rights or wrongs. Be a little tolerant to ambiguity. Sometimes, for me, like sometimes I've not been able to get few things. I've stopped and I said, hey, I don't think I understood what's happening. Like for example, in the book which I showed, I think page number 7. Kritika, can you just show us that page quickly? The first story, his first day at school. The next one, please. Down, further down. Yeah. The one before that. Yeah, thanks a lot. So 1, 2, 3, the third one. I took a while. I paused over there. What are these boys talking? Are they telling stories? An ant flying, lizard talking. So finally, my interpretation was these two boys are telling some silly stories, make-believe stories. But I'm very sure in each one of your minds, you have a very different interpretation for that. Yeah, think about that. So this is exactly what happens in a child's mind. Absolutely no filters. They will come up with infinite number of options. Right? So be free, encourage multiple answers, no rights, no wrongs. And the other thing, the practical difficulty or challenges which we face. Can we use these books for middle schoolers, high schoolers? Let me give you my own example. I think we've not addressed that particular part because when it comes to conventional schooling, I think we need to look into the practical challenges which many of our teachers and librarians face. The other story, I have the book over here. It is also a wordless picture book, The Little Red String. So this is one of my favorite books. And believe me, I've used this book for grade 7 and grade 8 for value education, life skills learning. Okay, so as a life skill educator, as a storyteller, my objective or my theme for that particular class was to make the children understand the difference between wants and needs. How only expensive things don't give you happiness. Simple things can also bring joy. And I used exactly this book. If you brush through the pages, you will understand that, it's about the leftover string, and how each one finds happiness. The cat plays with it, the children play finger games, and they string the balloons together, they decorate the house. Of course, I adapted it being a storyteller, I adapted it to my convenience, and then I used this particular story. And let me honestly tell you, this story was a super hit, and I have the narration of this particular story still on my YouTube. So, and if you look at the illustrations also, as Kanato had earlier mentioned, very simplistic. Black, white, there's a blue background, and the red is kind of prominent over here because we're talking about the red string, right? And as I told you, just like Dogmatics and who's the other dog? Snowy. Here also we have the black cat in every frame. And the black cat seems to have its own personality and own life and own story. So take the cat out, you can actually listen to its own story. So just the details and adapting a story to suit your requirements, your children's requirements, also becomes important. So we can still use it across age groups is what I'm trying to convey, right? And yeah, the benefits, I think Rosmin has talked enough about the benefits of using these books. Vocabulary, listening skills, conversational skills, sequencing skills, evaluating skills, all these skills kind of improve. Most importantly, the story structure, the components of a story, the beginning, the conflict resolution. At a very pre-primary stage, they get used to the structure of the story. Now, this is the foundation for creative writing, and creative writing will lead you to script writing. So in a very nonchalant manner, in a very organic manner, these books introduce you to those as well. So it's not pre-planned or anything, but the writing skills also automatically develop is what I'm trying to say. And of course, as Kanato said, it can be absolutely empowering. I meet a lot of students who say, ma'am, I can't speak English properly. I have a strong accent. I'm from this place. I'm from that place. But you know what? There's no need for language in this particular book. So anyone can read. I picked up storytelling for my grandmother, and my grandmother never went to school. She didn't know English. Now, those days, I don't remember seeing all these kinds of books. But if she was here right now, I'm sure she would have loved these books because language is definitely not a barrier. And yeah, across ages, anyone can enjoy the book. So I think I've pretty much covered everything. Yeah, there's one thing which I do to kind of keep the conversation going. I use something like this, the speech bubbles, thought bubbles. The speech bubble just fell down. Let me pick it up quickly. Here, the speech bubble, thought bubbles. I place it on the character. So my students are supposed to tell what the character is saying or what the character would be thinking. Multiple answers, infinite. So again, it's a huge conversation starter. You keep your students engaged. And if you remember in the beginning, I broke into a song, into a jingle, right? So why did I do that? That is when we flip from one page to the other, I want my students, to be with me. We are all on the same page, So I want the pulse of the group to be the same, consistent. That's why you kind of, add some jingles, you few props here and there, but definitely it's not a must. It depends on your signature style, how you like to take the story forward. So I would like to end my whatever the insights which I convey, saying that these books, let's change few things. Education is evolving. We are all evolving. Our thought processes are evolving, right? So wordless books are not just for pre-primary students. Point number one, it's for everyone. Okay, they have all the elements of good literature, right? And wordless books can also play a very significant role in raising thoughtful readers. Right? So
Thank
with
you.
that, I would like to
Thank you so much.
thanks a lot.
Thank you for your insights and love the ideas that you shared. And a huge shout out to Saurav and
Yeah.
Manisha for being with us today. And it was beautiful to see you keep up with all the speakers. Thank you so much. With that, we come to the end of today's webinar. I want to once again thank all the speakers, Priya, Kanato, Rosmin,
Thank
Saleh.
you.
Thank you so much for being here today and for being generous with your time and your insights. I also want to thank my co-conspirators and partners in this event. We have Apeksha, Neeta, and Nirupama from Librarians of India. We also have Radhika and Harish who have joined us from Bachpan Manao, Bartijao. Thank you so much for partnering with us for this webinar. It has been an absolute pleasure working with you. I'm sending you the links for some of our partners' work on chat. Please do see them and access them. We'll also send it to you on an email. And stay tuned for future masterclasses. Bachpan Manao hosts a masterclass regularly, so please keep an eye out for future masterclasses and do follow our work at Librarians of India and Pratham Books Story Weaver as well. Thank you so much, and we're really sorry for being a little over time. Bye, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, Rosmin, did you want to add something? I just saw you.
Yes, actually, when Miss Priya spoke about the props, so I just wanted to add that with older kids, when you do a wordless picture book with them, you can ask them to dramatize the story, and in between, you can suddenly pull out a prop and say a thought bubble or a speech bubble, and ask the performer to you can just ask them their interpretation, that what do you think this character is thinking at the moment in this scene, or what do you think this character is going to say next or would have said in this next scene. So that is also a very good way where it works in the critical thinking and comprehension skills.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye. This
Bye.
has been fun.
Thank you so much.
Bye.